Daniel, what did you read? Actually, you know what? Let's play it. I want to throw to you in a second, but let's play this first. Because this is, I mean, I won't even say it's extraordinary. I mean, this is what you'd expect. This is a former military analyst. Unfortunately, I actually don't have his name in front of me, which is a mistake. But this is a guy who served in special forces in Haiti, Brigadier Anthony Tata. He's author of Dark Winter. This is a guy, again, this is a guy who has been deployed in a mercenary way. Here he is on Fox News talking about Venezuela.
Secretary Pompeo saying that all of our diplomats have left the country. That's a key indicator and warning that there's a military option in the mix brewing. And in my point of view, what we really need to do, this is a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. We've also got a nexus between Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah and Cuba there that, you know, they are enemies of our nation. And we've also got the world's largest oil reserves there. So we got a lot of compelling reasons to be there. And so we need a sophisticated plan, much like we had in 1994 with the Haiti invasion, where we had a peacekeeping force on an aircraft carrier offshore, and we had the 82nd Airborne Division in the air, and we had Colin Powell, Sam Nunn, and Jimmy Carter meeting with Cedras, the dictator. And it really was brinksmanship up until the 11th hour. And so something of that nature where we can come in and provide humanitarian relief. We've got the armed teeth of the 18th Airborne Corps that is bearing down on Caracas and the very well-known places that Maduro hides out. We can target those pretty surgically. And then we need to protect Guaido, and we need to bring him into power.
He's threatening to assassinate him right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he said it subtly, but this is, I mean, Daniel, take it from here. How does this fit into the traditional coup script? And again, really specifically, he's couching it, but we can target him and we know where he is. What do you think that means?
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, it's difficult to know if they'll go through with it, but I think this is clearly in a long line of Latin American intervention going back at least to 1898 and repeatedly throughout the 20th century. Most famously in 1954 with Jacobo Arbenz in Guatemala and the various support for a variety of dictators from Trujillo to Somoza in these various spaces. So this is a long history of American interventionism in Latin America, and I think it's also really important to point out that he creates this fictional power block of Hezbollah and all of these various groups, because basically the United States' security state is very much looking to have a coalition of enemies that it needs to fight in order to justify itself. So you have on one hand this sort of long trajectory of interventionism in Latin America, and on the other hand, the continuation of this Cold War logic, which of course after the Cold War was transferred from a fear of communism to a fear of radical terrorism, and which is now being tried to instantiate in this sort of fictional power block, which is something that I want to emphasize, that this guy was associated with Clinton, but this is a meme of the far right. If you look at Michael Flynn, remember the guy who was National Security Advisor for about 3 days, but if you look at his insane book written with Michael Ledeen, he also constructs this sort of power block, right? So I think what you're actually seeing here, it's in some sense a moment of hope for the left, right? Because it's so obviously ridiculous to associate Hezbollah with Maduro, right? This is or with Putin or with all of these groups. So I think you're seeing actually the security state is in a moment of crisis. So we should actually see this sort of half-assed nonsense as an opportunity in order to create a new discursive context where we basically no longer abide this bullshit and this sort of domination of Latin America that has characterized U.S. foreign policy since the late 19th century in a series of misadventures that have resulted in the death and deracination of tens of millions of people. It's fucking disgusting, and we all need to recognize that.
Absolutely.
But you know what? I'll bet money that Bolsonaro's in D.C. with the idea that Brazil will act in our place.
Well, I don't know if they can, they logistically cannot, but if, of course, I mean, look, he went to the CIA headquarters. That is not typical behavior for a visiting head of state.
No, I mean,
and they have
from
been,
my Latin American days, the Brazilian impulse to empire,
the dictatorship,
is deeper, and you know, this is like this great moment. This is really a fascinating moment. I'm really significant. Most Americans will just see it as another moment, but it's not. This is remarkable. Okay, it fits right into everything Bush. Listen to me. That this Trump shithead wants.
Lula Livre. You've just watched a Michael Brooks show video, and you can watch all of our full main live shows every Tuesday night at around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and subscribe to get all of the clips you want. We're covering the globe. We're focusing on international relations, the intellectual dark web. We're having fun. We're doing deep dives with a lot of amazing guests. Of course, become a patron for the whole thing at patreon.com/TMBS, or subscribe to this YouTube channel and help us keep growing and get that content out there. Subscribe below.